Hey everybody, and welcome to another Learn to Digitize video. My name is Sue and I am from OML Embroidery and OML Digitizing. And today we're going to do something really cool. We're working in Hatch, of course, because Hatch is awesome. And we are going to work on some letters. Now, along with the letters, we're going to be working with blocks and we're going to be making some great connections because that's how you have to do it when you're digitizing letters. So let's bring in our artwork. So we click on here for artwork and class 10 letters, and we're going to work on 3 of them. And I just made these. It's just a regular font in that I made in Corel and with serifs. So the idea of this is, I'm not trying to teach you how to create your own fonts and bring them in or anything like that. Is if you're doing some work, whether for yourself or for a customer, and there's writing on it and you don't recognize the font, not everybody is fonty, and you have 2 choices at that point. You can search relentlessly for the font. Now there's a few shortcuts on that, but you don't always get the results that you want, and I find it very time consuming as well to search for the fonts. So you can go that route or try fonts that you think. I usually do that first. If I have a couple fonts that, I think it's got serifs right here, these are serifs, and that's how you can, narrow it down a little bit more, and you can try a font on top and see if it matches. I usually try 1 or 2. I'm pretty fonty. That's a new word that I've created for today, fonty. So I'm pretty fonty, so I can usually make a guess and sometimes get it right. But what if you can't? So instead of spending an hour or 2, or you can spend a long time actually searching for fonts, why don't you digitize it yourself? That's what I'm saying. So this is what it's for. So if you have something with writing on it and you can't figure out what font it is to type it in, then digitize it yourself. And that's what we're doing today. Now, along with that, we're going to be making, like I said, some connections. We're going to be doing quite a few things like that. So let's start off. Now, fonts are digitized in different ways. You could just, outline it and fill it in, and that's a font. But traditionally, they're a little more complicated than they look, and they are made with blocks of satin stitches. Now, if you pull up a font, let's do it right here. If you pull up a font, let's go to lettering, and it brings it up, and let's do the same letters. How about capitals? F, G, A, and I put spaces in between so it'll be similar to what we're looking at. So FGA, let's go to my resequence. Oh, I didn't do it right. Woohoo, we're off to a good start. FGA. There we go. My computer is a bit slow. It gets kind of nasty. So let's look at it here, and you can see right away on the F and the G. Now I know the fonts don't match, but we're just looking at basic things here. So let's look at the F. We can even do, just for the fun of it, break apart, and let's do, click on it again, and let's do break apart to the letters. Let's click on the F again, and let's break it apart. So now we can see in this simple looking F that it is made up of 2 parts. Now this is the first part that stitches out, and this is the second, and that's how the F is supposed to look. Now you can see as well with the G, we didn't break it apart, so let's break it apart. So it is a little more complicated than you think it is. It's not just outline it and fill it in. You can do it that way, but it's not nearly as good. Let's check out this A. A is probably one of the most complicated letters. So the A consists of this piece, it consists of this piece, and a cap. And those are the things that makes the lettering really nice. Now, you can imagine how much digitizing it takes to make these letters like this. And that is why the pre-digitized fonts that come with Hatch are excellent. And that's why some of the new ones they give out, font packs, are excellent, because they have done all this specific work for you to make an excellent an excellent font. And that's why they look so good, because they're made of all these parts. Now the trick is to know what parts to do. And also the trick is to make it all connecting, because you don't want a jump stitch from here to here every time you do that alphabet, for example. You don't want it to go from here and then start here on the turning satin stitches right here and end up. That is not how you want to do it. You want to start it here, end, and then start on here. So let's get into it. Let's start with the letter F. We're going to leave these guys here. We could have changed the font on it. We're just going to leave them here, and we're just going to use that as a reminder. And that's how I would digitize a font. Find one. Now this one isn't close enough. We could change it. Find one that's similar and just kind of follow along. Now this one is shaped differently. Why don't we do that actually? Because I think that would be helpful if you're trying to do it yourself. So let's do an F. And we want something with serif. So you can look here. College might do it. College applique. We don't want applique. We don't need those extra pieces. We're just looking for the letter form, basically, of it. Garamond, that's probably what this one is. There we go. Now that is almost what we got going on here, a little bit differently, but almost the same. So then we're gonna break apart, and this is how you would learn it. This is how you would learn how to make it. 1 piece, 2 piece, 3, 4, and 5. So that is how we are going to do our F. So that's our basic pieces. Let's move them apart. But this is how you learn. This is how you learn, and you figure it out, and that's how we want to do it. So we are going to start off. Now, the other thing you have to pay attention to is what is underneath. What order is this guy in? It's this part first. That part seems to be last. Where are we on our F? How about we change this guy, and then I can pick it out just a little bit better. So that part is first, that part is second, that part is third, the serif is next, and the F, the end of the F is next. I don't think that has jump stitches, so I'm going to move a little bit around, just a little bit. So that's basically how we want to do it. So let's start off with this piece. Or this piece. I guess we can do this piece. Now, 2 ways of doing it, and I'm going to show you both, and you can decide which way you like the best. Let's go to Digitize, and we are going to digitize a closed shape. So just for this one, we're going to digitize a closed shape, and what we want to do is zoom right in. We want it at about 600% to be super accurate, because it is a letter, of course. And now my letters are kind of big. If you have to do them smaller than this, then they have to be done a different way. So, okay, let's go on this one. We're going to follow the nice lines. And what I'm doing here is I'm just bringing it in. You could do it, you know, maybe this much, but you want it brought in case of any push-pull. So we want to do it that way. However, we don't want a tatami fill. We want a satin fill. And we also need to play with angles. So let's go to reshape, and we've got 1 angle there, and we want it to go this way. How's that for perfect? Perfectly done 1 angle. So that's one way of doing it. The second way you can do it is digitized blocks. Now I know a lot of people are not comfy with digitizing blocks, but it's going to save you a lot of trouble if you're doing the lettering. So all you have to do, let me do that again. For this one, I clicked on digitized blocks, and I started on this end, and it's a side-to-side motion. So when we're doing it this way, we're just doing it this and around and up and then changing the angle. This, we're with blocks, it's a side-to-side motion, and we're putting in the angles as we go along. So you can see, and you can right-click to have shapes. And we kind of want this straight, so you do have to be a little careful where we're putting them. And that kind of, I did a right click there, and I did a right click there, and we want it to go straight across. And we do want it to overlap, so we're pretending there's a line down here. Now this should be pretty straight, so I'm doing it really slow so you guys can pace yourselves and see exactly what I'm doing for this one. So now we're going to start, it's a little bit of a curve there. And I could have clicked down a little bit more. Backspace, let's do that. Let's do that again. And left click on this side, We're going to right click because it has a tiny bit of a curve, and there we go. I think we can right click on this one, left click on this side, left click, and left click. Now all of our angles are already done. And look at that, it's perfect, other than that it's not satin stitch. So let's change it to satin stitch. Now this happens because my letter is a little bit big. And I forgot to do one thing actually, and I did everything in the wrong order. So let's go back again. I was thinking this and doing something else. So actually that can't be like that. Hold on. So I did make a mistake because we do want, oh, come on. We do want this, the serifs, to be over, because look what I did when I moved it here. Right there, that's how it goes. We don't want it to look like that. It's not too bad. But again, with this, when we make it a bit smaller, this isn't going to show. This is because I made it really huge, so it's easier for us to work with. But we are going to have that. So we want it to start here and end over here. All right, so let's select this one, and we want it to start there and end. We want it to end, whoops, I almost always do that. It's so much fun. We want it to end about here, so we can do a quick little run stitch underneath to here, which, what is our next piece going to be? Well, I think we better do the bottom serif. We can either do bottom or top. Let's look at our sample guide there. Let's do the bottom, and then we can nicely hide the stitches. We really can't with this one. But you know what? We could also fix it. Why don't we try doing that? So if I had it like this, this is where my stop point ended. I would just do a little stitch here. You probably wouldn't be able to see it, but let's do it better than that with a little reshaping. So let's start with this guy. Let's go to reshape, and let's move him a little more. See, now I wanted to pull a node, and what did I do? I pulled the stop. Isn't that funny? Any other time, I just can't grab it. And we're going to make these overlap a tiny bit, but we're just changing the shape to what I want, and this will be fine. And this is kind of, you can see the lines right there, so we may want to do it just a little bit like that. Don't worry about that, that's okay. And that's good, and let's fix this one. So let's reshape, and we're just going to bring this down so it just kind of goes with the lines that we're making here. And we want this over because I already made a gap. We do not want gaps. No gaps, no gaps. And that would be fine like that. There's a gap there, so we're just going to pull it up a little bit. That looks way better. So let's change this one, because this is how I want to do it. You don't have to, but this is how I want to do it. So the way I want to do it is that it's going to stitch out this serif, and then it's going to go and stitch this out. Now let's go back and check for our spots. So where does this guy here starts here and ends here. So we need to go back, and we need to check this guy out. And this guy, whoo, there would have been a jump stitch. We want him to start there, and we want him to end here. So yay. Okay, we got that sorted out. That is how you do it. Let's go down a little bit. Now we put it there. So what we want to do is digitize, and you can do freehand, or you can just digitize an open shape. And this is where we ended. So we want to go down to here. And like this, you don't have to have it any more than that. This is where I'm going to start my serif going on right there, and enter, and there we go. So now it's going to stitch this, it's going to stitch this, and then it's going to run down here and right in the spot. So no jump stitches, nothing like that. So let's go again. Let's digitize closed shape, or you can use your blocks. I'll try to do some of each. So this one we're just going around because it is a closed shape I picked, and it might be easier for you. I don't know. Right click, and we want to take it to about here on a nice line. Left click, sorry. Now right click, and end, and press enter. And because I forgot to change it, because I always do, get my rhythm with my hatch. There we go. And now we have to go, because we did it as an open shape, we need to go in and change our angles. Easiest way is with reshape, and grab your angle and go. We want this one up and down. Again with the divot, don't even worry about that. It's because I'm doing it so big. And let's go in and reshape. And now we wanted it to start there, and we want it to finish, you know, just about anywhere. We could do it down the middle. You can run it down the sides. There we go. How about, well, let's make it easy to figure out. Let's do there, so we're not overlapping anything. And let's go up and do the top serif. And I think we're looking good for our F, but wow, it's a little bit more complicated than I think anyone thought. So what we want to do again is grab our digitize open shape. Now you can run it along here for neatness. You can bring it in a little bit. It's almost like a little bit of underlay. And if we're going to use the example here, they started it there. So why don't we do that? So we are going to do a running stitch all the way to that corner. And I just left click, press enter, there's our running stitch, and it comes in the right order because we are doing it in the right order. So this one, are we going to do digitized blocks? What are we going to do? I don't know. Let's zoom in so we get a much better view. You should be at somewhere around 600. I'm going to keep it like this for now so I can see my whole serif. I guess I could do a little bit more. Let's see, because I don't have auto scroll on, so I don't want to be scrolling around. But around 600 is what, yeah, I want it just a little bit fiddly, but then I get the whole view. So we're going to use the digitized blocks, which it may seem difficult. You just have to work with it a little bit and keep working. So left click, and remember it's side to side, side to side. So side to side. So left click. This is kind of telling you what side, see I'm wiggling my tail there, what side you're going to put it on. And this one is an elastic side. See how it pulls? And that tells you it's on this side. And this one's on this side. So if you ever get lost and can't remember what you're doing, this is a brilliant way. Some of the other embroidery programs, it's kind of, you can really get lost. Now, if I was to put it over here, that's going to start putting an angle. If I put it here, that's an angle. So what I'm kind of maneuvering around is to get this relatively straight with the other one. Now we can put a little curve on this one. We want it about there. And then we want to keep it straight. So it's not as much about the spacing between them as keeping it straight. Now that one doesn't match. Isn't that funny? That doesn't match. That's okay. How did we do it on the other one? See, this is why you need it here. They made it all even across, so we should probably do that too. So what I need to do is take off my last one, and I'm just hitting backspace. That's still not quite it. And one more. So wow, okay, so we want it to hit about here and there. And this is how you do it. It's just practice, get it right. It's pretty close, but I want it straight. And again, the back and forth motion, and you can tell if you were to put it up here, no, down here, and we can make it bigger because we don't really need any angles until we start turning. So there, and then they're kind of going to get a little short. I guess we can do one more there. And this is where doing blocks will come in handy, because I want it to, you don't want it quite like that. We want it a little bit there and here, and we want it to come around the corner just nicely. Do you see how I did that? It's so excellent. And then here, kind of make it match this part. Kind of not too long, not too short. And we should have an awesome turn right there. Awesome turn. And now we're going straight again. Now we're going straight. How cool is that? And that should look beautiful when we hit enter and change it to satin stitch, because I always forget to make it a fill. Jeez. There we go. Now that's a little bit hard to see because of the size and because it's split a little bit because of how I've done it so large, so we can see what we're doing, but we'll fix that up. So let's do this. There we go. How come our angles disappeared? Well, that's okay. We can add stitch angles. And this is fine the way we did it. In fact, it looks great, and we want to add these. So I just went to add stitch angles, and we'll do the same thing right there. And now hit enter, and of course it's gonna do that, but that's okay, because again, it's just because it's big. I don't know why I didn't have, oh, I know why. Silly me, I didn't change everything, so it didn't keep the angles because it did a running stitch. So that's why. There we go. There's always an answer. I just wasn't paying attention. So how about for this last one, I'll do it correctly for once. I'll just have to think about it. So we wanted it to start here because that's where our handy dandy running stitch went, and we want it to finish. It doesn't even matter which side. How about this side? And now we're going to cover up everything and make it look beautiful, and we should be just about done with our letter. So for this one, let's do a digitized close shape, and we're going to start here because we don't want any jump stitches, and we want it to overlap a tiny bit, maybe a little more than what I'm doing. Now this is where we can be zoomed right in, so let's go back. Let's put it up just a titch so we don't have anything going on. And let's go, and I'm gonna have to scroll because I don't have auto scroll on, but we can go boom right down here. Let's make a nice straight line here. And then we're gonna zoom all the way up, and I'm just left clicking on everything right to here. We could have hit enter, but I'm into precise today. And did I do it? I probably did it wrong. It's gonna be tatami. Meh, I tell ya. Eventually. Fill, satin. I'm just not used to the rhythm of it. I love it, but I'm just not used to it. Now let's check out our reshape, and let's check out our line. And we don't want it on a slant. We want it straight across. And that is how we can make that look really good. So look at our F. Look at our F. Instead of just having a flat F, we have an awesome F. Let's make him a purple color. And because I'm going to be moving things around, let's group this guy. And then he's all in one piece. And he stitches out nicely. Now, just for the sake of looking, let's make him a more, usual size. And all of the divots, just about, all of them disappear. What are we at? Oh yeah, we're at 2 inches. That's pretty tall for that font. There we go. I brought it down to the right size. And now look at how good that is. And that is how you do an excellent font. So we've got our F. Let's get rid of our sample F because I think we did a good job. There we go. And all the connections, everything. Excellent. So purple is going to be our excellent F color. So let's put them by there. And let's do the G. It's kind of the same thing, but not really. Let's go to this guy, which we broke apart. So let's get rid of him because he's no use to us broken apart. Let's go to lettering and monogramming. And that was a Garamond font, I think I picked. G. And let's go to Garamond. It's just kind of helpful if you have a similar letter. And we can see already how this one was made. But I'm going to break apart anyways. And I am going to turn it red like we did last time. And once you break it apart, you can see there's a serif. And there it is, all in one piece, the rest of the G. So let's try and do the same thing. I think I would like that to be a separate serif. It just depends on what you want. But just for the sake of learning, let's cut this one off and make it a separate one. They don't have it on here, but then again, the serif is a bit of a different shape, and I think it would look better with it. It's kind of capped. So, okay, let's go in then. We're going to start on our G, which is pretty big G, but that's okay. It just makes it a whole lot easier. Digitize. Now, what are we going to do for this one? Let's do these ones blocks just for fun. And left click. It doesn't matter which side you start on. Remember, the straight one tells you that side. There. Why don't we zoom in? Maybe it'll make it easier for you guys to see. And plus, once you zoom in to the right amount, you see, wow, I was off. So let's go there. And it's side to side because we're doing blocks. And we want to get these angles going on just lovely. And I forgot to change everything, so this is going to come out tatami. I just apparently can't do it. I gave up a little while ago. Now I want this over a little bit more because we don't want the angle to change. We don't want it, starting to slant like that. That is not going to look good. We want it straight. So if you have to backspace and go back a little bit, that's absolutely fine. See, now if I was going to go to click here, which you might, I realized, no, I'm wrong, because I call it the short end. The short end has to go first, and then your pull out end is what makes it. Now, I can't go over here because we don't want that much of an angle, do we? We do not. There we go. There we go. We are getting it just fine. I want it nice and straight. So hopefully, whoops, that one's off. Hopefully you guys get a little bit of practice in with these blocks, because you can do really cool stuff with them. That looks pretty straight. I like it. And of course, like I said, already realized we needed satin. And it's going to do that because it's big. Now let's go to our reshaping. And I want this to start here. And we ended there, but I would like to not grab that. I would like it to end here. So we can do a running stitch, because we got to run all the way, because you don't want to jump stitch here, so we got to run all the way around the G. Now I put it right here, so let's pick, you can do it freehand. Let's do digitize open shape, and you don't have to be too precise about it. We just need to get from point A to point B. Thank you. And I don't have auto scroll, so excuse my scrolling around. And we want it to go right, how about here, I guess. We're going to start it right about there. So now we know. And let's do it now. Digitize, close shape, and we're going to change it, and we're going to change it because I remembered to do it right this time. So let's do a digitized close shape for this one. I already picked it. And we're just simply going to start it right there, because that's where our connector, our beautiful connector stitch, ended up. And we're just going to use as few nodes as possible, and we're just going to make this serif. Enter. And let's go into reshape. Reshape is your friend. And angle, we just want it to be basically straight. Looking good, Mr. G. Now we have to move, before we get out of this, we have to move this here, because now we're going to start doing this part. And again, it's gonna separate like that because I do have it really large, and that's fine. So I start here, end here, because I want to start right here, and we do not want jump stitches. So this one is going to be digitize blocks, and we have fill and we have satin, so that's twice. I've done it correctly. Now I ended here, so I want to start here, and we want to zoom in, and we want to overlap a tiny bit, and we're going to go, remember, it's the side to side motion. Now this one is going to be a little bit more difficult because we got a lot of corners to go around. So we're going to try to do it. Now short end here, let's go. And you can right click to make curves. And right now we want it kind of straight. And if it doesn't work, you know what? You can go back and move the angles around. And I'll show you that. I've done it a couple times, but I'll show you it more. Basically in the middle here, we want it straight. And we don't want to go too far because we want to mind our angles. This is all about angles. So we can start turning them. And it takes a little bit of practice to get good at it, but you do get good at it. Basically, by the time you get to, this part of the G, you want it angled a bit better. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so maybe we can see. So right here on the G, we need to be straight. So basically, that's what you're doing. You're just trying to set your angles so they turn, and they turn, nicely and evenly. I guess I need to do... No, see, now that's a mistake right there, and it's a mistake because that needs to be a right click because we're right curvy. So these are all right clicks that we're doing. Now let's look at our line. So right click again, and then here, and we said right about here we want it to be straight. So are we getting there at a nice pace? Yes, yes we are. And right click and right click. And that should look really good. So you see the nice procession of it. If you do it too sharp, it just kind of looks messy when you're trying to do it. So let's pace ourselves on. So about here, we want it to be straight up and down. So if you lose track, because I moved everything around, we know this is the short end, so this is going close, and we're going to right click and right click on here because we want all the edges to be curvy. And we got to continue around, turning our angles ever so slightly. So, and if you get stuck here, I went kind of far, we want it to turn a little bit, but we don't want it a whole lot. And right click, and then this one will be straight, so we did it. And keep doing your right clicks. And right click again. Now, we're going to have to paste this out in three angle lines. And again, don't worry if you don't get it exactly right when you generate the stitches. You can go in and modify them. So we want this one kind of a stretch to right there, and then this one from the corner to this corner. See how nicely that fits? And then this one here, but we want it a little shorter because we want to give the stitches time to turn. And you kind of match that one, but we do want it to be straight because all this up here is going to be straight. So click and click. We want it to be straight, perfectly straightened out. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. I'm going to cut this one a little bit short because we want to cover up all this here. And that is a little crooked, so let's make it straight. You can put your grid on and make sure everything's straight. I don't have my grid on today. Short end, and angle it over a little bit, and click enter. Now, look how nicely that turned out. Let's have a look at our turning stitches. Aside from it separating, I think we did a pretty good job of that G. So let's grab our G, go back to your select key. Let's grab, whoops, this is why I always nail down my pictures. And I forgot to do that. And this is exactly why. It doesn't have to match, but duh, and press K. And then I won't do that again. And when I go to select my G, and we're going to change it to that awesome purpley color, and we are going to bring it down just a smidge smaller, about matching the other guy. And look at how good our G is. Let's look at our angles. Yeah, that might be a bit tight there, but yeah, look at how smooth it goes around. And that is the goal. And if you don't get it right, I said I was going to show you. This I might do a little bit differently. It's not as smooth. Look at how smooth my curve is. That's all those right clicks, so I might fix that. Well, let's select the right one that we want to do, right? Select. But you see, you can change the angle lines if something is wrong. So let's move this one outrageously. And you see how you get that little bump in there? I don't know how easy it is to see, but you see there's spaces between the stitches. That means it's not quite where it should be. Now you get them at the top end a little bit. I would probably switch these over and just fiddle around a little bit. All I did was click on it, and you can see it's hard because the thing is blue. It turns blue, and that's a node. I'm not clicking on the angle lines, I'm clicking on the node, and then you simply press spacebar and it turns it to a curve. And look at how it fixed it, just with a couple of things. It's worth going in. Now look at how smooth that is, how delightful. So I think we did a very good letter G. Let's group this guy so we can move it around. Now for size, I think I'll bring him down a little bit. Oh, except for I didn't get the whole thing. Waha, edit, undo. How about we grab the whole guy and now group it. I have two groups there, but that's okay. I'm not planning on ungrouping. Make it a smidgen smaller. Absolutely excellent, excellent, excellent G. Let's get rid of the red G. Now we're going to go on to the tough one. So hopefully you guys are getting how to do this. Let's get rid of this guy. Did we break him apart? We broke them all apart. Let's get rid of all of them. Go. All right, just one at a time. Fine. Let's go to lettering, and let's go there. And let's do the letter A, just so we have something to work with again, just so we can see our pieces. What did I say? Garamond. We can maybe look for another one. So many fonts. Oh, I just love fonts. What about school book? That might be a little closer. Yeah, that dude's pretty cool. I like that A. That is a nice letter A. And you know what? If you look at it, it's pretty darn close to what we're doing. All right, close enough. Close enough. Let's break this guy apart. And he's all broken apart. And there we go. And it starts with the middle part. 1 foot, I call them. There. And see how this, instead of doing a cap, this overlaps like that. Oh, I love it. And then the bottom part, absolutely excellent. So let's do it in the same way then. Let's do it exactly the same. So it's going to start off with the middle part. So let's zoom right in. Zoom right in because we want to be able to see what we're doing, and we're going to start with this middle part. So let's go back to digitize. There we go. And we're going to digitize a closed shape, and we'll just do it this way for once. And we're going to go here and here, and we're going to bring it out a little bit so we don't have any gapping at any time. That's all you have to do for that. Not a whole lot. You don't have to have it out to this side because we don't want it to show. There we go, and hit enter and select. And it's satin. I had that all set. We just need to change the angle, so we want this angle up like that. Now you don't need to move both parts of the angle line, by the way. You don't have to feel that it has to be like this in the middle sort of thing. That kind of messed it up, but there you go. You can just swing one end of it the way you want. And again, we have that gapping because we're working so big. So oops, let's go back into reshape there and start there, finish. We're going to do this one first, so we need to do our digitize open shape and start from here, and we got to get down to the other serif or foot, whatever you want to call it. Which side you want to start on doesn't really matter. Let's do it to here, press enter. Let's go to, so do we want to do it blocks, or have you guys had enough blocks? Maybe. All right, they're hard, I know. Keep practicing, you'll get it. So let's change it to fill. Let's change it to satin. There we go. Now we want to start it right kind of at this bend here and follow along as closely as we can. It's not even the greatest picture of it, but that's okay. It seemed to work fine. And across and hit enter. And then reshape. Reshape is your friend. Swing the angle up. And looking good. Start and stop. So while we are at it, we can move the stop to right here because we are going to do this part. So let's go back to digitize closed shape, and we're going to zoom right in here just for the beginning, and we want it to start right there again, but we're going to bring it down just a smidge, and there we go. And we're going to put in, now this is turning. We're going to have to put in the angles afterwards. Let's make it a bit smaller so I'm not super click happy. And if you remember from our other A, where is he there? It's kind of covered over. So we want to do that, and we want to go right up to here. This kind of makes it awkward with it so small. We want it to go up to here and then over to about here, I'm saying, so we don't have any gapping. We do not want gapping, no thank you. And right to here, and we're going to press enter. And our angles actually are not all that bad. I do want to, whoops, not do that. I do want to reshape a little bit. I think I need another point in here to kind of bring this out. I was being a little too careful. And the angle, we are going to move this side. Yep, never grab it. Ever grab it. Never. Now I'm making a mess. That's okay. If you guys do it too, that's okay. I kind of want it at an angle like that. Let's put all of our pieces back. Thank you. Thank you. Supposed to go right there to where the start is, right? Yep, you have to be careful where you grab things, people. Don't be grabbing nodes willy-nilly. This will happen to you. We want it really. Well, if you end up making a mess like that, it's all right. You just have to take your time and fix it up. And now I fixed it, and it's perfect. And put our start point back here. And let's see how we're looking. We got a little bend in there. Is this supposed to be there? No, it is not. I moved that one too. All right, so now we fixed it, and that's how you do it. And we put the angle. I don't think we need other angle lines on it. I think it's pretty good the way it is. Do we even need this point? We do not. So I took it out. So we can play around with the angle. Again, it's a little bit hard to tell because it is so big. And I think I like that, so that looks good. Let's step back a little bit and look at it. And let's look at our other A and what was next on our other A. Just in case you forget, you can go back this part and then that. So that's nice and smooth, isn't it? So this kind of overlaps down, so we want to kind of do it right at about here. And that's a nice overlap and it looks good. So yeah, yay, we know what we're doing now. So we're going to do this part of the A. And what are we going to do? Digitize blocks. Are you guys up for it? All right, close shape. We'll do the last one in digitized blocks. And I forgot to look, or I've just since forgotten, what are we at here for start and stop points? Because you need to start where the other one stopped, or else you'll have jump stitches. So it started right about there. I don't like that, so I'm going to move it, you know, probably to right here. I think that would make the most sense. Let's have a look. And again, this is how you figure it. This is how you figure everything out. And I am actually going to take that A, this guy. Whoops, I'm in reshape. Woohoo. Let's take this guy and let's take all of them. Can I have all of you, please? And let's group it. And let's move this dude a little closer. We're going to make that guy red. And then we can see what we're doing. So, and he's kind of big. So what we want is an angle right about there. So let's see where we put our spot, our reshape. Yeah, I got it just about right. Pretty close. So that'll be good enough. So let's do, after much ado, but this is how you do it. Nobody said any of this was easy. It's a bit fiddly, but it's brilliant, and you should be able to carry most of this into your regular embroidery work. So we want to go here and here a little bit like that, and then follow along and zoom in so you don't miss what you need to miss. There we go. We want it to go across there and up, up, down, there, enter. And I think we've got everything just about right. Oh, I kind of like it. Starting to look like a nice A. I see him a little off on something, and I think that angle is probably pretty good. I don't think I mind it. That just happened to work out very well. Yay. Now what happened here? What's going on here? I think I may have an extra point in here that we don't need. Yes, it needs to be straight. So that while that point is blue, I'm going to delete it. I wasn't sure if we needed it at all. Now that's a nice straight line going down. Yeah, I'm liking it. I'm liking it. And now we can see, while we're fixing stuff, we can see starting at the right spot. And actually, it isn't starting at the right spot. Woo, we want it up there. So you start up there. No jump stitches. No. And it finishes here. And I'm going to move it here because I usually start and go left to right. So coming along. Let's go here to, let's do the blocks because you got to know them. So keep practicing them side to side. So let's start from the, no, we got to start here, right? We need to do hold up. We need to do digitize open shape, and we need to just run from here to here. I almost forgot. And digitize blocks, and we want a fill, and we want satin. So we're going to start here where our little run stitch ended and go here to here. Now remember, this is side to side, and when this comes out, this, you know, it's this side. And we want to watch our angles. So it's tempting to put it down there or even here, but that's going to be a wicked angle that you can't deal with. So we pretty much want these guys straight. So down, this is the short end, I call it, down, and we want it, see, we're going to have to see what happened there. If I put it straight, there's going to be a gap, and we don't want that. So I need to bring this one a little bit closer, take a little bit smaller chunks off of what I'm doing, and you see now it's covered up, and we want to put it up. I think I did that one. I don't like the angle of that one. So back. It's okay, just back a little bit. It's worth getting it right. And we want it up a little bit, and now we can stretch out a little bit more. We want to keep with, now this angle is down, so we want to keep that, keeping these angles straight, if that makes any sense. So we want to keep everything smoothly, straighten that up a little bit. It's not that hard. Once you get used to it, you get really, really good at placing your angle lines, and it just saves you going over them, and it's really nice precision embroidery work, and I love it. So there and there. Now remember, smaller bits for this, right? That's why I had to go back on the last one, because I was taking off bigger bits than I needed to. And there and there. And now we're going to hit enter and see how great that looks. And we have just done another letter. It looks fantastic. I see a little boo-boo I'd like to tend to, and it is right there. Reshape on this guy. I think I have an extra node in there. I do, and then I want this to, not this, I want this to match a little bit better so that we make a nicer line through. And that looks way better. Let's zoom out again. So a little bit fiddly, but it's going to be so worth it. Let's go back to select. There we go. And select this guy. We got them all. Let's make him that pretty purple color. And let's make him a little more reasonable. Look how great that looks. That is a perfect letter A. And we've made some amazing connections. It all stitches out in one shot. We've watched our angles, and they're gorgeous. And that is how you do lettering here inside Wilcom Hatch. So thanks everyone for watching. Happy digitizing, of course. Remember to make your wonderful connections, make everything flow, no jump stitches, no trims, no anything. And also one thing I forgot to mention, when you're ending the letter, try to end it, not in the middle here, for example, because if we were doing these letters and you want it closest join, you really want it to end here and go to here. So I would go back in, and if you could fix it to do it that way so it's a little more of a flow. But look at how gorgeous those letters are. Look at absolutely gorgeous. They look just as good as anything that you type out. So if you can't find a font, no worries. You can create your own lettering. You don't have to do it on the with fonts, with pre-digitized fonts, or with any other fonts. You don't need to spend the time. This is neat and clean and tidy and looks absolutely fantastic. So thanks everyone for watching. Don't forget to make your connections, and I'll see you guys in the next class. Happy digitizing.